warships decommissioned and former serving the Portuguese Navy. And this idea took place about 12 years ago. It took, I think, 7 years and 3 ministers of defense to the leader of the project, Luis Socoto, to whom I thank to inviting me to do this part. So I think he's by far the most persistent person I ever met in my life. And he said they won't beat me by bureaucracy. They won't beat me by, they only will beat me by the ideas, and they lose. Okay, so these are the ships. One corvette, Oliveira e Carmo, with these features here. A patrol, the smallest one of the group, Zambeze Patrol. This class of vessels came from the former Portuguese colonies to go and enter the big African rivers. The Hermenegildo Capel, the frigate, the biggest one with more than 100 meters in length. And the white ones, the hydrographic ship Almeida Carvalho. So these are the actors of the scene, and this is the local of the scene. So this is in the southern coast of the mainland Portugal, and it is basically an area with a sandy bottom and some silt. Okay. And now the park is drawn there, and we have the buoys here. And so we have some restrictions inside the park, okay? And there were also some complementary measures of the process, since some people was invited to do itineraries, guides, a dive guide of the most attractive touristic underwater destinations in the Algarve, etc. So everything, the project as a whole, was far more than sunken for ships. Okay. Another thing, it was to put in an hospital in Algarve an hyperbaric chamber, because before that, anyone that had a problem, not only related with dive, but that an hyperbaric chamber would be suitable to do something, would have to come near Lisbon at least to do that. And after the project, there is an operative hyperbaric chamber in the Algarve. Okay, and to my best knowledge, is working, especially with non-divers, okay, to the other pathologies, of course. We don't want divers there, of course. But I know, at least I know 2 people that were already there by diving problems, and it was very good. But of course, we don't want them there. Okay, only for practice and training, okay? So, the competitive advantages of the Algarve for the Portuguese, this is, you already know, but to the other colleagues that don't know the Algarve, you should go. Very good dive conditions and complementary dive sites. Best diving season are spring and autumn. We are now, in terms, for instance, of visibility, usually on October is very good. I love to dive in autumn in the Algarve. Sunshine and good weather almost all over the year. Hospitality, safety, good accesses. We have an airport there. A very good accommodation and nautical infrastructures. Excellent gastronomy and wine. Large complementary touristic offers. So if you are in a group with people that doesn't dive, it's very good. They can do a lot of things. All family vacation destination, as here in Troy, as you see. Packages are very competitive, especially in medium and low season, etc. And so now I'm just shifting a little bit to the preparation of the vessels as a whole, not only for the monitoring plan. So, which is rather different. That is a wreck, as we heard from previous presentations. It has, I don't think, nothing to do. It has something to do, but it's rather different because we are able to prepare everything in terms of to avoid any kind of pollution, of contamination, and to place them and to put safety openings, etc. That's the idea of a marine park with sunken vessels that were made on purpose to that. So the asbestos was removed by law. All fluids were also removed, and all wiring harnesses were removed. So this was the most expensive part of the process. So to put this, everything certificated by the environmental agencies, and it took about 3 months to each vessel to do this. And of course, to do safety openings, the rationale was that one diver will also would also always, sorry, would always have one opening, see one opening, and doesn't have the to come back. Okay, everything was washed and degreased, and as you just took a lot of tons of the material, you had to put some concrete at the bottom in order to displace the vessel to the place where it was sank. Otherwise, the center of gravity would be very high and it would stay on the dock. Okay, and now my part. So what I think it's once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay, you have here 3 vessels and do whatever you want to undertake a monitoring of biodiversity process. Okay, can I draw quadrats? Yes, you can. Can I weld some quadrats and put numbers? Yes, you can. It was amazing. So just with a ink spray can, I just put I draw some quadrats there here as you can see, and then I asked someone to weld the corners with iron, in order that after some months it was possible to spot the quadrat. And so we decided to undertake measures of biodiversity. I will show you later on measures of biodiversity in plain, what we call plain quadrats in this part of the whole, and what we call complex quadrats. I will show you later on. So these ones, as you see, they are welded here, okay, and they have a number. So it was, after that, it was pretty straightforward to go to dive with the compact camera and just take a photo. And then I know already the measures, because it's 50 by 50 centimeters, and the number of the quadrants. So with that and the date, I have everything I need to do the monitoring plan of what will be installed there. Okay, this is the 49. And these are the complex quadrants. These ones revealed after much better and with more species installed, as they have all the rugosity and all the corners for the larvae to settle, okay? In this case, we welded a quadrat there of the same material that the ship in that part was made of, because some of the ships, for instance, the Corvette is iron and steel in the bottom, is and aluminium in the top, okay? So in this part is aluminium, so it was we welded with aluminium and aluminium quadrat, okay? And in iron we put iron, of course, in steel. And so we did this with redundancy, because we knew from previous vessels that if it just bent or something, that we would have only access to half of the quadrant. So we did that in both sides, as we knew that when they were sunk, they they became straight for a couple of years and then they bend. Okay, so it was possible to accompany the other quadrants of one side of the ships. And in the beginning, we did what coral marine biologists do for undertake the settlement of larvae. It was with tiles and polished tiles here, and we add some screws here, and we just dive in from the very first day and put the tiles there and replace the tiles every 2 months in order to know the peak of settlement of larvae in the ships. And it was a lot of fun, of course. Just after that, a single diver could, with a compact camera and a torch, a good torch, was able to have the data we need to know how the community, the biological community, was settling there and what were the differences between the ships, because two ships were sunk in October the 30 of 2012. The third ship, it was in June or July, and the fourth, the last one, it was in September. So, and it was really different the way the community was structured in the beginning, okay? And so this is what happens to a tile. These ones were not 2 months because, sorry, some of them we change every 2 months, and some of them we took them for 6 months, and this is a 6 months one. So it's on place. We have pretty much exactly the same kind of community that we have on the hull of the ship, okay? And then we just went with the tool and unscrew the tile and gave it back to the surface, and we saw a lot of organisms, especially tube worms and some bryozoans, etc. And it was possible to quantify the amount of species, of groups. Sometimes we were not able to identify down to the species, but the amount of groups that would be settled there, okay? And so we did this using an image processing program through color segmentation and calculate the area. For instance, in this case, those black calcified tube worms, polychaetes, we have about 18% of coverage in that exactly tile, okay? And then we did that for many groups: bivalves, bryozoans, barnacles, tube worms, etc. And we had the data of the number of submerged, concerning the time the tiles were submerged. But the analysis, the more relevant analysis, was taken from what we call the complex quadrats. So these ones, and it was after analyzing the images, the sequence, the time sequence of the images, that we were able to understand what was happening here. And so we did pretty much the same. So an analysis of just shifting the gain of the image, and just to collect. In this case, we were interested in the mussel bed, okay? And so it was possible to quantify, in this case, in this particular case, to show you the mussel bed that was installed in that particular quadrant. And so we went to these time sequences in this case from September. This is, of course, outside the water, and this is about almost 2 years after. And we also have this sequence of images that began outside, and so you can see from here to here in 2018, okay, what is happening. And after that, we have to do some charts as these ones, okay? They are not as beautiful as these ones, but they do tell you a story, okay? And if you pay attention to the mussels here on blue, charted on blue, so as the vessels were docked for a long time without any preparation at all, they did have the mussel bed underwater, and so that mussel bed, when they were sank, we didn't know if it will resist, it will just um, go and invade, and it was really what happened a few years after. So this is the quadrats from the top part, the aluminum part of the vessel, and so after that they came and they become dominant, and then they implode by themselves and start sharing dominance with other species. And we did know that it would happen, of course. And here, pretty much the same. The here without in Hermenegildo Capelo, the frigate was not with mussels when it was sank, so we don't have the same story here, and we have some anemones that became dominant here, so Cnidaria, Actinotea spherodecta, a small that all the divers here know, a small white and orange anemone. And in Oliveira-Carme, for instance, we have here the mussel bed that started here, became co-dominant with other species, and then it died here. Okay? So these are the stories of a community that is, it's on their earlier mid-successional and late successional stage. Right now, the ships, almost 10 years after, 9 years after, are in what we are calling the climax of the community. So now it is not expected, except if they turn, they bend, or they open, it is not expected that you see that much differences as you saw during these years, okay? And so this is what it looks like, a mussel bed, the mussel bed, sorry, in the days today, and with the fish here, a Parablenius, just guarding their eggs. And then we also add the results of a cumulative curve of fish, some fish that are particularly pelagic fish that you don't see on the shore. And after 5 years, we just enter to a threshold, to a plateau. And the last part, it was unexpected. I have 5 minutes, I think I can. It was because the Oliveira-Carme corvette, when it sank, it just cracked and bent down a little bit. But what we didn't know is that the front part would drag about 200 meters on the dip. And so it was separated, the stern from the bow. And as one part was much bigger than the other one, the recreational diving was only undertaken in one part, whereas the other one was pristine. So we took advantage on that in order to measure, for the first time to my best knowledge, the impact of divers on structuring the communities. This is what happened in the part that you don't have divers at all, with a lot, hundreds, thousands of sea fans, gorgonians here, just starting and growing, whereas in the other part you don't have that. And so we did this paper with my colleague João Encarnação on the effects of recreational diving on early colonization studies in an artificial reef. And it was by chance that that part displaces. It is now outside the park. And people still diving there. And the other part, as is too tiny, not many people, about 5 to 10 to 20 dives a year compared to 2,000, okay? This is the difference. And so we just undertake a different sampling structure with vertical and horizontal quadrats, just photographing, and then we compared the control and impact. So the control was the one which was not dived by recreational divers. And we found this difference, this significant difference, especially with sea fans that were replaced by barnacles. But in the end, the community will be structured the same way. So these are different pathways in order to reach the same climax community, which is pretty much similar to that one of natural reefs. So this project was also a benchmark to other projects. We have here Corvette Pereira Dessa, which was sunken in Porto Santo, an island in the Madeira archipelago. And this is Pereira Dessa as well. And then to Corvette Afonso Cerqueira, which was sunken 3 years ago in Madeira Island. Okay, so it was to me a great opportunity, and to, I think, to the country to use a touristic project to obtain more information on how do communities behave as a whole and structure themselves in different responses to the environment. For instance, Corvette Pereira Dessa, as it's in an island with less intake of nutrients, etc. It has less things attached rather than in Madeira Island, Corvette Afonso Cerqueira, and much less than those ones that are here in the Algarve in the mainland, for instance. Okay, so this is the idea of the project, and thank you very much for attending me.